Cool, man. We'll snap into it. Hey, how you going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk.com. And today I'm having a chat with musician, promoter, and all-round cool guy, Benno Rogers from Rep Management and a few other things he's got going on. Cheers, Benno, for joining me, man.
Cheers, Cobber. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's just a crazy time, dude. How are you travelling with everything at the moment?
Yeah, man. Well, obviously the event shut down on the 13th of March, which was a Friday, and the 13th of Friday, Black Friday. So I call it Black Friday, in the words of Don McLean, the day the music died. Yeah, it was an interesting Friday that day where everyone in the house. So, like my day job is a sound engineer and a roadie. So we were all in the warehouse, and we all went upstairs to the office, and ScoMo was on the telly, and we watched it live as he said 500 people plus events shuts down, and then we all looked at the boss, and that was like, well, I guess we don't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the 13th of March, and it's been since then that we've been going righto. So what's this new world? What's the new entertainment industry world going to look like? And yeah, it's been a fun, 3 months now? I think it is March, April, May, June. Yeah, 4 months. So it's been crazy times.
Yeah, man. We'll talk a little bit about that time that you were saying, like when that government first imposed those restrictions, man. It was almost hourly that things were changing, and I think it was in a matter of a day or a matter of days. It changed to like 130 people then, and you could just see the music industry straight away when that first announcement was there. To the bottom had dropped away, especially for people like yourself, man. And that feeling must have been like, dude, like a heck of a bum feeling, dude. Bummed out, depressing.
It was. And it was happening for a fortnight beforehand. So what a lot of people don't realise is that behind the scenes, for at least 2 weeks before that happened, events were starting to shut down, to the point where we were losing a gig a day. And it was like, yep, no, we're cancelling. Yep, no, we're cancelling. And then we got to one gig. So did a lot of work. We do a lot of work with UQ, the University of Queensland.
Yep.
And then they were starting to shut down gigs. They had a case at the university. This was before all of this. We even had an event at QPAC. The truck was actually loaded. So I just finished loading the truck. I'd called the client. I got in turned the keys on the ignition of the truck, about to drive it off, and the client said no. So we took 4 guys to load the truck, 4 guys to unload the truck, and it never left the driveway. That was the sort of stuff that was happening prior. And a lot of people don't realise the amount of gigs that got cancelled beforehand. And then once the official word came down, bang, next thing you know, we lost Download, Blues and Roots. All the big festivals started getting hit as well. I was working a couple of the festivals in Brisbane at the time. So we had Mojo Burning, which was going to be at Woolly Mammoth. And there was also Unleash the Elephant on that same weekend with She Had, Lagerstein. I was working that one as well. They got cancelled. And then we've just been scrambling since. The entertainment industry, especially with a sole trader. So a lot of guys in the entertainment industry that are behind the scenes crew are all sole traders, trying to get JobKeeper, trying to get money. We've got mortgages, we've got kids, school fees, mortgages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's not a hobby for us guys. It's our way of life. It's our living. And what's been great is everyone's saying, go and buy merch, support the musicians, get in there, get in behind them. And that's fantastic. We've got to do that. But that doesn't pay crew.
No.
That doesn't pay your sound engineer, doesn't pay your roadie, doesn't pay your truck driver, doesn't pay the guy that runs a hot dog van that turns up to gigs. The industry is bigger than musicians. They're bigger than actors, bigger than you know, your circus people. Like the industry is huge. And I was reading the other day about the investment in the building industry. So for every dollar spent on the building industry, you get a 1.15 return in jobs. The arts industry and entertainment industry, for every dollar, you create 9 jobs.
Yep.
So that's just to show you the difference between the building industry and the entertainment industry. For every musician that gets up on stage, they're employing 9 people.
Yep.
You know, like guys like yourself that are doing media, all of it. It's a lot bigger than just the musicians, and there's a lot of people hurting out there at the moment.
Exactly, man. The whole industry is connected, man. It's like you said, man. You made a valid point that it's like, especially people like you, man, that do all the sound stuff and the shows that have been cancelled. But everyone behind it, all the bar stuff, all the people that come into there, you know, like to make these jobs to every day, man. Everyone's lost out. And we talk about live music in the industry, man. It's not to mention how many other jobs you bring into other places in the city, because you have people come into a show. You know, they may hit a restaurant before, grab a meal, you know, so it has a knock-on effect to everything.
Yeah.
Not to mention the anxiety and the stress that would have put on everybody, and you know, yourself included, your families. It's like, where do we, you know, this was our job, we were making this money, and it seemed like everyone else was going to get looked after, and you know, a little bit here. And like you said, the building industry kind of gets propped up, and everyone else, you know, these oil companies or whoever else gets this help from the government, man. And it just felt like the music industry and everyone involved, like yourself, was kind of in limbo the last few months, man. It's what I've been hearing from a lot of people.
And we still are.
Yeah.
We still are. So the other thing, like, it's really good. Queensland, for example, 100 patrons to a venue. So a few of the venues, like Trifford, do an excellent job. The Zoo are doing an excellent job, and they're bringing back shows with 100 people. The thing with 100 people is it's very hard to make money on 100 patrons when you think you've got to pay musicians, sound engineers, lighting engineers, road crew, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you've got venues that can only put on 100 people, there are no external production in those. That is all the in-house production. And that's great for those venues and the in-house guys, but the venue is the industry is a long way off getting the external production companies up and running, and the guys that do festivals, etc. Like that, the companies that predominantly look after festivals, they may not work again this year.
Yeah.
Now,
and a lot of venues are closing doors as well. I've noticed a few places have like kind of shut up shop, and it's kind of up in the air. Where do we go from here? Because you know, we got to get on these shows again, but it's getting the crowd involved and into that point. Like it's going to be hard to get this industry kick-started again, man. What do you think the government could do to actually help get this going again, man? Because it doesn't seem like they're doing bugger all at the moment.
well, it's interesting that you say that. There's been a few good organizations out there that have written really well thought out proposals about how to get this going again. Q Music in Queensland's been excellent. Crew Care, can't shout out to them loud enough. Support Act. These organisations that they have put a proposal to Parliament, and it's about Parliament actually reading it and taking it seriously. So the proposal is $315 million, I think, over 2 years to try and get the industry back up and running. And that's supporting everyone from musicians, artists, actors, road crew, production crew, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't off the top of my head remember the company that did the proposal right now, but I know if you go into Q Music or Crew Care or Support Acts, either of their Facebook pages, you will find the proposal there.
Cool.
It is well thought out. It's a really intelligent document, and I highly recommend that people source it and read it. Also, when you're doing that, go on to websites and Facebook pages like Support Act and Crew Care. Roadie for Roadies as well is another one. Get on there and give those guys a shout out, because we just went through fires again. We just went through floods. I know companies like Creative that are on the Gold Coast and Sydney Like, they were massively involved in putting on that fantastic concert that was on Channel 7, I think it was.
Yep.
Like, the entertainment industry is the first one to put our hands up and go, yep, we will help you raise some coins to get you out of the shithole that you're in. Right now, we're the ones that need the helping hand. So it'd be great if people got on board.
Yeah, well, the live industry brings so much, you know, and music in general, and like you said, artists and the music scene and everyone out behind it, like yourself, who put on these shows, are always the first ones to go, yeah, let's do something, dude. You know what I mean? So it'd be great for people to get along and, you know, start supporting back, especially in this time, and hopefully the government does it as well. And I'll be sure to put in links for all those there, dude, so everyone can check them out as well. Support Act, Roadie for Roadies, and the other ones there as well, dude, definitely. So make sure everyone gets along and checks them out as well, dude.
Excellent.
So,
And the other thing you can do now is buy tickets to shows.
yeah,
So there is only going to be 100 tickets. Don't think you're going to get one at the door.
yeah,
Buy them fast so that we can put on a second show. We can do 2 shows in a day. So we can take 100 people, give them a show, move them on, bring the next 100 in. Like, let's do 2 shows, 3 shows a day if we have to.
yeah, man. So is that how you're thinking we're going to do things?
But that's the way I'm prepared to do things.
Yeah, at the
I've
moment.
spoken to the bands on the bill for the 1st of August, and I have said to them, if we can sell 100 tickets, which I don't see why we can't,
Yeah,
we sell these 100 tickets, let's put on an afternoon show. I've chatted with the venue. The venue's all for having a second show, a matinee show,
yep,
which means we'll run the same show twice. The band's keen. I'm prepared to do it. My crew's prepared to do it. And we might actually, you know, get the industry back up and running. But let's remember, like, to get people. The funny thing is, people got lazy, right? And it wasn't no fault of their own. It was the way the world has gone. Oh, I'll get tickets on the night, or I'll walk up and buy them at the door,
yep,
or, you know, or I'll see what other shows are on. Commit. Put your money where your mouth is and buy a ticket, because buying a ticket is how bands are going to survive, how crew are going to survive. We've got Spotify and iTunes, etc. You're not making money on royalties. You're making money on shows,
yeah.
on selling merch. So how can you help the industry? Buy a ticket, turn up to a show, put your money where your mouth is, make your feet do the walking. Get there. And when you get to the venue, buy a drink. Doesn't have to be alcoholic. Buy a drink. Buy something at the venue.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm not a drinker, dude. I buy Coke and I buy heaps of merch. Oh, I'm one that has always got to hit the bands, especially like, because I go to a lot of the local shows and support the Aussie acts and everything.
Yeah, man.
Every time I'm always got to buy like your things from your festivals and that, and support these shows, man. You know, get along to the bar, put some music money over the bar, because I buy my Cokes or, you know, your Red Bulls if you don't drink. You know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know,
yeah.
it's good.
Don't go to the bar and just drink water.
Yeah, and it's good for the bars as well. They go, okay, and we're pulling in money for this. And back to your point there about buying tickets. Adelaide's bad for it. We do the same here in Adelaide. We wait till the last minute and buy shows. And I've actually seen shows cancelled because they get to a point where they're like, man, there's no point in coming all this way if we've sold 20 bloody tickets prior to the show. You've got to realise that these bands are busting their ass to get to these shows, and, you know, half the time it's just paying petrol money, let alone you've got your support crew as well behind everything that's going on. So if you haven't got the tickets and you're not getting the numbers and support, it's not going to keep the industry going, dude, especially the local scene.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned Adelaide. I'm a mad fan of Adelaide. I used to be a tour guide once upon a time, based out of Alice Springs, and would drive between Adelaide, Alice, Darwin, and yeah, always good times in Adelaide. But it's funny because on the East Coast, what we hear is you'll have a band like Tool just toured. Why didn't Tool come to Adelaide? Well, if you're not buying tickets, Tool aren't going to come to Adelaide. You know?
Yeah.
And then you've got a band like, let's say we're talking about Death Plague, that's my current promotion, or even the band I manage, Pavilion. Like, I'm not going to take those bands to Adelaide if it's going to be an expensive run and we're not going to make our money back because people aren't buying tickets.
Yep.
But then don't go and complain that the bands don't come.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I'm hoping, especially with what you've got going on with 100 people, that people start thinking, man, okay, let's get these tickets really, really quick. We'll talk about this show as we get into this too a little bit, that if you get those 100 tickets out, like say you get them out in the next week, like of course you're going to be like, okay, we've got a fair bit of interest here. Let's look at maybe putting on a second couple of shows so we get these 100 through, and then some more people can really get in and enjoy some live music again. Because I know if I was up there, I'd be straight there. Like, money straight on the table, dude. Let's do this right now. I'm fiending for live shows, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm itching as well, dude. I'm just keen to get behind the faders on the sound desk again, just to actually, you know, do my craft. And yeah, I'm itching. So I'm hoping the punters are itching as well.
Yeah, especially for your own well-being, to get back into work and just go, okay, and things. I can understand that, we're probably not going to have any international acts till, next year. I think February is, I think, when I've seen something the earliest. Maybe September, yep. I don't know. But, mate, I'm hoping, like, I'm going to be a bit, Aussie here and go, I'm hoping that things stay the way they are and people get behind the local scene here and support the industry and guys like yourself. And we're going to have to get this scene up and going. And I think everyone needs to get behind the sector, the artists, and everyone behind the scenes like yourself as well.
Well, I 100% agree. I was speaking to a few people the other day, and I was speaking to the Metal Maiden on 4ZZZ here in Brisbane, and saying exactly that. Here's the opportunity for Australian musicians to shine, especially Australian heavy musicians. Now, you have a look at the talent in the heavy scene. Now, you can go from your Caligula's Horses in your really prog. You got your Voyager and your pop metal. Then you got your Death Plagues or your King Parrots in that extreme metal. Lagerstein and your fun pirate metal. We've got international class metal here in Australia, and when Aussie acts go overseas, like to the UK and especially the European festival circuit, they slay.
Yeah.
Because you have to work so hard in Australia, so hard. You have to be better than everybody to get half a chance. So by the time the bands are on the stage, our bands are good. And it's time that our punters here in Australia realise it. And massive chops to Destroy All Lines at the moment as well. They've gone in hard, created a booking agency, and really have gotten some cream Aussie metal bands and go, right, now you've got Destroy All Lines, the guys that bring over the heavy hitters from internationally. Now they've got an Aussie quota on their bill that I'm reckoning fans are going to love. Yeah. Especially when you start to see some of these guys, they're phenomenal. Let's support our local acts. Country is another scene. I know that, this is heavy, but you have a look at CMC Rocks, right? For example, there's $400 a ticket to go to that show. And that's per day.
Yeah.
That's nuts to pay for these massive American international acts. Yet you can go to the Gympie Master and see an all Aussie act and you pay $300 and it goes for 4 days.
Yeah.
Why spend 3 times the amount of money to see an international act when a band will do it better, in my opinion? And they're telling our stories from our home, I want to see that. I want to support that.
Yeah, dude, the talent is absolutely crazy here in Australia, man. Like you said, dude, I've seen so many talented Australian bands over here in Australia, and I wonder, like, what I know. Oh, there we go. We're back in. I've seen, talking about the quality of the Australian talent here, man. I've seen so many talented bands, and because of what I do, but shows like New Dead Metal Fest that, focus on putting on a lot of the Australian talent and the shows all over there. And I see that many talented Aussie bands, like just amazing bands. I'll just say Lord for one, like we're talking about Europe.
Oh, how good a Lord.
Oh, dude. And, these bands are just amazing, amazing bands, yet they struggle. They go over to Europe, they have these huge crowds, wherever. America, they played at Progfest, I think it was a few years ago, and just amazingly talented bands. Yet we go to a show here in Australia and you've got you know, half an empty room with a bunch of, I was saying, collateral damage.
Yeah.
A bunch of geezers sitting in the back with their arms crossed, going, you know, what do I mean? And these,
Voyager is exactly the same.
yeah,
Like Voyager from
man.
Perth. Mate, they headlined Progfest USA. They headlined Progfest in Europe. They're playing in front of 10,000 people over there, and you come to Australia and they're playing the Zoo in Brisbane, which, mind you, I love the Zoo.
Yeah.
And I love seeing Voyager, and I'm their biggest fan. But I want to see them at the Triffid. I want to see them, you know, at the Tivoli in front of 1,000 people.
That's it.
1,500 people in Australia, not 400. They're better than 400 people.
Oh.
They're 1,500, 2,000. And Lord are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Lord are one of those bands that they've been slogging it for a long time, and they can go to Japan and they can destroy Japan. You know, we've got the talent. It's just our punters are. I don't know. Punters have a rod up their ass sometimes too, and that's no offense. And I'm one of them. Like I'm arrogant when it comes to my music choices sometimes as well. But I've changed a lot in the last sort of 18 months and gone, right, yeah, it's time to put feet on the pavement and get out to shows.
Yeah, man.
Support these venues or they'll close.
I've spoken to a few people. I'm thinking of like the conversation I had with Sam from Low and Hadal Moore, and we were talking about these guys. And you know, I was probably guilty of it for so many years, but not Cold Chisel, obviously. But guys that still play the same Cold Chisel record in their car for 20 years. And don't take the time to check anything out, you know what I mean? Like, and it's probably the same here in Australia. Guys still cranking the old Slipknot CDs, or the Metallicas, or the Slayer, and not taking the time to really, you know, explore what we have going and cooking in our own backyard. They're just more or less content to be spoon-fed the same shit.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is as well, is like Triple J's got a lot to answer for on that. I remember the 3 hours of power before. What's it called now? I can't even remember.
Full Metal Racket.
Tuesday nights, the metal show. Full Metal Racket, yeah. You know, that went back in the day, 3 hours of power when it was all about guitar heavy bands before hardcore and all that took over. But the racket to me sometimes has become really niche, and you've only got 3 hours. So once a week, you get 3 hours. There's a lot of shit to cram into 3 hours, and the racket work hard and they do the best they can. But it's 3 hours once a week.
Yeah.
Where I'm really stoked with the efforts Tim Price with Collision Course and SGC Media, what they've done with the Faction.
Yep.
Man, like
the
first
that's what was
year
going
he
through my
did
head
the
when you
hardest
said that.
Yeah. The hardest 100. So the first year it was open to all. Every song ever released, but now like it's the second. This year was the second year of the hardest 100, where the rules are you had to release a song that year. Fuck yeah, man! I will listen to the hardest 100 every day of the week. And to be honest, the hottest 100 this year on the Jays, didn't even listen to it. I'm getting old and I'm so far removed on the pop and indie culture, but the amount of bands that I've through the Faction that I didn't know existed, because like I said, you only get 3 hours on the racket. You can't get every band in.
Yep.
Couple of the bands that I found through the Faction, you know, like Circles or the Omnific.
Yep.
Man, like I probably wouldn't have found
that
those guys
bass
otherwise.
is just insane, dude.
Oh, it's nuts.
First time I heard that.
That's not stuff I would have searched. Yeah, you know, like that's not stuff that I would have found on my own. You know, there's some really. He's done a really good job, and hats off to him. You know, it was hard. I'm starting up a digital radio and then competing with the likes of Triple J, because that's who he's competing against. I mean, in my opinion, and I think he's done it. I think he's created listenership for heavy music lovers in Australia, and I want to see the Faction go on to hold its own festivals. You know, that's what I reckon the end goal's got to be. We've just got to get festivals back.
Exactly, man. It's unreal what he's done. And like, I know what he does with Collision Course is unreal. He's turned me onto so many bands with what I do and with what he does. And me in turn have turned other people on around the world, like with what I've got going
Yeah.
on with Crannk, man. And like these are bands that have definitely helped. He was one of the first people that got on board with what we had got Crannk and said, hey, check this out. And it's been unreal, like checking out these bands that he sends through from Australia. And it's one of the things that has really well and truly opened my eyes with what I've been doing with Crannk as well. Just kind of, exploring music and just being amazed by the quality of talent here in Australia. Like we've probably said it 100 times already with this, man, but
Yeah.
get on board and check out what we have here in Australia, man, because there's always this big push, and people forget, man, there's this big push for Australian made, you know what I mean? Australian made industry, agriculture, whatever, but you don't see that same push for Australian made music, and, we should support the
Well,
Australian
you'd
industry.
remember, I'm sure you'd remember the back when you had to have a local artist as the opening act whenever an international artist toured. They weren't allowed to bring their own supports. They had to use Australian supports. That was legislated.
Yeah.
Which meant at one point Powderfinger opened for Pantera, but that's another story. But we had local bands, and look, at one point there, Segression was your opening act for everyone. The amount of times I saw Segression because they were opening for Slayer, they were opening for Ozzy Osbourne, they were opening for Pantera, they were opening for Fear Factory, they were opening. But man, Segression got to tour Australia a lot between 2000 2005 on the curtails of some massive international artists. Why aren't we seeing more of that? Sunk Loto was another one that used to get a lot of those shows. They ended up getting on the Hottest 100, I believe Sunk Loto did, and that's on the back that they actually got to open for international artists. The international artists aren't coming. So now let's get these Aussie bands onto stages. Let's, and when they do come back, the international artists next year, let's legislate it. If you want to tour this country, your opening artist has to be from the town that you're playing, or at least the state. Like if you're in Brisbane, your band's got to be from Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, or Ipswich, within 150 kilometres. Like, let's support the local bands.
I love seeing when these international bands come over here. I know the one that comes to mind is Hell Yeah. Like a few years ago with the Blood for Blood, each city had a local band from that city playing, you know what I mean? It's the way to do it, man, for sure.
Vinny.
Yeah, man, rest in peace to the Abbott brothers.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your show you got coming up, dude, August 1st, man. When did you get the okay for that? And when you were like, okay, let's start planning for this, dude? How did that come all about?
Well, so the 1st of August was going to be the Containment Festival. So Death Plague have a festival called the Containment Festival. It's all part of their branding and marketing. So Death Plague, obviously Death Plague, and it's, pandemics and stuff, which is really poignant at the moment. So the 1st of August, we always had booked, and we had a 14-band festival going from 2 p.m. to midnight. With some really killer acts on there, like Mules, which are a really cool Sunny Coast band that I highly recommend you check out. And we had Death Plague, and we had Serifric, and we had 010 on the bill. We were about to announce ticket sales, and Black Friday of the music industry happened, and I had to put pause on it. So I haven't stopped talking with the venue all the way through this. Cool. We've kept in conversations going, right, when are we going to be able to put on a show? How's a show going to look? How are we going to go about it? So a few weeks ago when the Premier was sort of saying, right, we're going to have 100 people, 10th of July. And I went, right, 10th of July. That gives us 2 weeks after 10th of July. We've still got the show. So let's run it. Let's just run a 3-band show. Death Plague are going to do one of their outbreaks. So their side shows they like to call an outbreak. The last outbreak they did was in Newcastle, which I believe may have been the last metal show in the country before the shutdown.
I think I'd spoke to Death Plague just before that one.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds familiar.
You would have, just before they were driving down. So that Death Plague's outbreak shut down the country. That's the way we like to think about it. And we're going to have a Death Plague outbreak to open back up metal gigs. So we're all about getting these metal shows back up and happening. So yeah, we kept in conversation with the venue, and we've they're pumped. They want to open up as well. The venues don't want to stay shut.
No.
They're not making money off live streaming gigs. It's costing everyone money to do that. Punters are loving the amount of free music at home through Facebook, YouTube, whatever, and that's great. But we need to get the industry back, and this gig, I hope, is going to do that. I'm looking forward to it. The three bands, I don't know how much you know 010 or Seraphic.
I've heard Seraphic. I haven't heard 010. I of course,
do yourself a favour.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'll check them out straight up. After
010 for me are Australia's answer to Pantera.
Yeah, nice.
You know?
I like that.
They're that groove metal, 90s metal, but done a bit more today with, we've got better gear, better tones, better. They're a fun band, man.
I'll check them out.
I had them on the Pavilion single show, and the very last song of the night, because I had them as a closing band. I like to have a closing band after the main act, to keep people at the venue so that the main act can come off stage, come out, have a beer with the punters, and we still got live music. We're not listening to a DJ, but it's still have tunes. So I had 010 finish the show. At the end of it, I think it was the drummer from Pavilion. I even got out from behind the sound desk, and we all got up on stage, and we were playing Walk by Pantera. There was 3 microphones going around. It was just mental. You got the sound engineer, buddy, singing with the finishing act. Like, it was great. It was just fun. They're a fun bunch of dudes. They know how to have fun. They know how to play their instruments, and they know how to get a crowd G'd up. So, yeah, and they're going to open for us. So hopefully they really get the crowd getting in. Then you got Seraphic, who I think Sam's talent, she's just amazing. Can really write a song, can really write an accompaniment for that song. And the guitarist and the rest of the boys in the band, their chops are up there. So they're going to be a tight act. And Death Plague, I think, is starting to come into their own, and this is their opportunity now. Like, let's get them in front of, on a better stage, with better equipment, better production, and let's show people what Death Plague can do in the right production environment. Let's lift it a bit, and give them some roadies so that they don't have to bring their own gear onto the stage, and make it look like a professional, make it look like an international touring act. I want to make your local band that's probably got 150 likes on Facebook, I want them to feel like they're a touring band.
Yeah.
I'll bring roadies to a band, to any gig, and I got mates of mine in the industry that sometimes they're just happy to come to a show. You buy them a beer and give them a t-shirt, they'll be your roadie. And these are professionals. These are dead set professionals that work big festivals. And if you treat your crew right, they'll treat you good. I've always say to any band that I manage, the first thing you need to do is go and introduce yourself to the crew and treat your crew like king, because they will make you look good and sound good. Your lighting guy and your sound guy and your roadies, they're the guys that are going to make you look good. And there's no reason that a band on their very first show can't have that.
Exactly. And the roadies know the struggle as well. Like, you guys like yourself, you know the industry better than anyone, dude. Like, what the local bands, and especially the local Aussie bands, struggle to put on these shows, man. So to have that commitment from you behind the scenes with these bands is just unreal. The way to do it.
Thanks, man. Well, I just think I used to be that guy. I was that guitarist, singer, and I was lugging my own gear around. And I remember doing a show, and I think this is bullshit, but it's a funny story, but it just sucks for me. Like, I did this show where, I bumped the whole thing in by myself. My drummer and my bass player turned up later. They had other commitments, unfortunately. We did the show. We slayed. The pub was packed. It was awesome. My drummer picked up. My bass player picked up. I didn't. I wrote the songs. I sang the songs. I packed the gear up and went by myself. The drummer and the bass player never loaded anything, never unloaded anything. They went and had a good time. I was like, So I was obviously destined to be a roadie.
fuck
But
this
yeah,
shit.
like, yeah. But it was great. Like,
Yeah.
that's fun as well, you know.
Yeah.
Getting 5 guys in a sweaty old bus with a dirty old PA and driving around talking shit, smelling like bongs, you know, like it's that's what it's about too, you know. And I was actually thinking today too about what is it that you want to achieve as well as a musician and doing these gigs. Do you want to be, you know, a James Hetfield and be more famous than you can possibly imagine and can't go down the road and buy a carton of milk? Or do you just want to be successful? Do you just want to be the best you, the best version of you on stage, you know? And I guess my goal, what I want to give to musicians and give to the punters is give them that guitarist on stage that he can, for that guitar solo, play the best guitar solo he's ever played. He gets that one photographer takes that one shot, and he may never play another show again, may never sell a CD, but he's got this photo of him with the right lighting by the stage and just puts it on his wall, and he can show his kids one day, yeah, I was in a band.
Yep.
That could be his success. That could be, or her success. That could be it. And if I can help provide that, and I hope this show really provides that for Death Plague, you know, like gives them that shining moment that if they never play another show, that this show was the best show that they've ever played. You know? And that's what I want to give to, as a production guy, as I don't like wearing the promoter hat, but I love the production hat, but
Yeah.
it's giving them that one show that they can remember for the rest of their lives. To say, yes, I played that show and it was so much fun and we slayed it and it was beautiful, you know. And if you can do that, if you can provide that for a musician, the musician will then do the rest. They'll play the notes, they'll get the crowd G'd up, and if they don't have to think about, oh, is my guitar amp going to be on stage in time? Is the microphone in the right spot? And da-da-da-da-da. Like, all they have to do is walk up on stage and play, and my job is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the bands love that too, man. And the crowd participation when the crowd gets in and you play that great show and the whole crowd is singing along. And we were saying about how these Aussie bands, they come down. Like, you're going to watch these guys ripping it and slaying it and holding it down with the best musicians on the world, hands down. No doubt at all, man. They'll be playing up there, and they'll also come down. They'll be the same guys sitting behind the merch stand. They'll come and have a beer with you, like you're saying. Those are the things you will not get with an international act that you'll get over here in Australia, man. Like with shows like yourself, especially with what you're putting on, you know. So people get along and really support this, man. So I'm going to put in links for this, man. Where's the best place we can get tickets for this show coming up, dude?
So Mosh Tix are selling tickets online.
Yep.
They're $22.50 plus booking fee online, and then there are tickets available from the bands. Now there's only 100 tickets, so I don't know how many tickets are left.
Yeah.
I know
hopefully they're all gone by the time we get this done, dude. Like by the time we finished at like 12:37 it is here, it'll be gone.
That'd be great. Yes. So it'd be really cool to get online, buy the tickets. The tickets off the bands are cheaper. They're only $20 if you buy directly off the bands. Hit their Facebook pages, send them a message, talk to them. I'm quietly confident they probably sold them all, but let's get in there. And because if we sell them all, I will put on another show. I will do a matinee show at 2:00 in the afternoon, and we will have a second show. And then if that all sells, fuck it, we'll do a third show on Sunday. I don't care.
And just to have this stability, people don't realise, you know, an actual future, man, because you've been in limbo like everyone else, and not to mention your anxiety, your mental health, as long as with me and everyone else is you going, well, what the fuck have we got going on here? But to go, look, okay, let's get these tickets out, and then you go, fuck, okay, things are going to start, you know, it's not going to be easy, but the road is starting to look a little better than it has, you know what I mean?
Well, what I'd love to see is that if we can get out, support shows, everyone can social distance, and, you know, no one gets sick. Like, I don't want to see a summer without festivals in Australia. Like, I don't want to see that, you know. And I'm talking EDM, I'm talking pop, I'm talking indie, I'm talking country, I'm talking metal, I'm talking
everything.
The Aussie summer is going to the beach, having a barbecue, going out bush, going camping, and going to fucking music festivals. So let's not rob each other of that. Let's be safe. Let's do what we got to do to get the job done. But buy tickets, turn up the shows so that we can get the festivals back. And what, we're going to have a summer where we can have Aussie musicians on the whole entire bill. Like, let's talk about Livid when that used to be home bait, big day out, when those big festivals were just Australian musicians. Let's get that back. Yeah. And I want to go to a big day out that starts at 11 o'clock in the morning, 10 stages, and be all Australian musicians. Imagine Parkway Drive headlining a festival now because they can't travel. We're here. Yeah. You know, you're going to have Thy Art Is Murder, your Parkway Drives, your Voyager, your Lord, your bloody let's get.
We could do like Anderson a 4-day festival, easy, like a 4-week festival of the talent we have in Australia, dude. Just about every day for a few weeks.
I'd love it, and I think the punters would too. It's just, let's stop being scared and let's stop thinking that we're better.
Yeah.
Let's get out off the couch. Let's,
lift each other up.
I'm not saying don't listen to Spotify or anything like that, because I tell you what, I'm 100% massive fan of streaming, because just having all that music at my fingertips is great. But if you're going to stream, buy merch, buy tickets,
Yeah, man, I'm the same. I always support. As you can tell, I'm always rocking different shirts. Yep. I love to support the scene because I know myself how hard everyone is doing it, man. And it's the best thing when it always puts fire in the belly too when bands are selling out their merch and they're going, okay, we got interest, let's work towards more music, or let's put on a show, or let's do this. But people have got to realize you got to have that support, and you got to have everyone kind of getting behind each other and lifting each other up.
Well, I want to see bands getting more vinyl out, because I'm a vinyl fan.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I love the vinyl, and bands can't afford vinyl if they're not selling their other merch. So I buy that merch so that they can, take Colours in the Sun by Voyager. I got 5 copies of that thing because it came out in 4 different colours plus black. So I had to buy 5. I wasn't missing out on a colour.
Yeah.
I will. I'm the same, man. When it comes to vinyl, and the other thing about vinyl for me with heavy music, there's something about listening to double kick drum through a bloody vinyl, man. It's a heavily distorted guitar, because I grew up with vinyl. My dad, I've stolen his copy of Rumours by Fleetwood Mac, which was an original Australian pressing, because, and I grew up with your Simon and Garfunkel and your Cat Stevens and the Everly Brothers and some really cool stuff. Kiss, Black Sabbath, all on vinyl. Deep Purple on vinyl. Like, that's what I was growing up with. Folk, rock, and and to be able to hear Caligula's Horse or Voyager or Sabaton on vinyl, it's just nuts, and I love it. So my message to bands out there is, don't be afraid to buy vinyl, because there's dudes like me out there that are nuts and will buy it.
Yeah, it's good to see vinyl. It's going crazy, man. I know a lot of hardcore metalheads absolutely love their vinyl, man. As we've rounded up a bit of time here, bro, as I noticed, but before we go, man, been awesome chat, man. Did you want to last words, shout outs, or anything you want to add in there, mate, that I may have forgotten?
Mate, I think we've covered everything. It's been actually a really rad chat, and I really appreciate you giving me the time of day, especially considering normally whenever there's interviews around, they're all done around the bands, and it was nice to get the behind the scenes sort of look at what makes the industry run. It was great to have a chat about it. So I guess if I could say anything to the punters out there, guys, thanks for loving music the way that we love putting it on, and to continue to support us, especially in this time when shows become available. Please buy tickets, and you buy tickets, we'll put on shows. You buy more tickets, we'll put on more shows, and I won't stop putting on shows if you guys won't stop turning up. So horns to that, horns to Jai, horns to Crannk. Thanks, team, and hopefully we'll see you in the pit soon. Be safe.
Awesome. Benno, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, man. This has been a chat I've been looking forward to get your perspective on everything as well. So, thanks again from myself and Crannk. And I really do hope everyone gets behind you, man, and everything you got going on. So everyone get along to the outbreak, support Death Plague, grab your tickets through Mosh Ticks. Let's get this sold out by the time I finish talking, okay? Cheers, guys.
Woo!
Thank you.
Cheers, Dean. Thanks, mate.